Have you ever run into one of your students at the grocery store and before you had a chance to hide, they see you and then they say,
Hey teacher, what are you doing here?
and you're like, buying food? And they're like,
For class project?
and you're like, no, to eat, right? And then they might say,
What's in that bottle?
I cook with wine. That's why it's cooking wine. Right? Like, there's like this weird thing that happens in students' minds when they see you outside of your natural habitat. When you're not teaching math or science or English or history or whatever, they're like, what are you doing here? Why aren't you in your classroom? And I think it's because sometimes kids really do think that we live in our classrooms. They don't know that we are actually humans just like them. Students spend so much time with their teachers every single day that I think that they sometimes think that we live at school. So I want to send this message to every student everywhere. Dear students, I am a person just like you. I don't live in my classroom. I don't sleep under my desk. I don't eat at your desk. That would be disgusting. I go home every day. I spend time with my family. I watch my alma mater play football and lose every Saturday. I'm a person just like you. I like Netflix. I am not just a teacher. And I think it's important that everyone, my students included, know that I am human, that I am a person who likes to do other things than just grading and going to school events. And there's a number of reasons for that. Sometimes I just want my students to be able to give me grace for being a person, right? Like when I lose my temper or I take forever to grade something, or maybe I'm not in the best mood one day. I want my kids to know that that's because I'm a person just like them. And that if I give them grace for being a little off or doing something wrong or whatever it is, I want them to be able to give that same forgiveness to me in return, and understanding that sometimes I'm just a little off and that's okay because I'm a person. And the other reason is I think that when we are real with our students, it invites them to be real with us. I always tell them the story of how my parents got divorced when I was in middle school and how this was a really tough period of my life. It was challenging and hard. But I find that when I share stories like that, my students will then share their own stories with me. They start to open up and let me know what's going on in their lives. There's this exchange of information. It's called building relationships, and relationships are at the heart of what we do as teachers. It's at the heart of teaching. But because of the nature of school, I think that teachers and administrators or anybody who works with kids really have to make an effort for them to know our humanity, right? Like, I think it's important that we put pictures of our kids on the walls of our classrooms. I think we should talk about our family life. I think we should share stories from our past, even if they're tough stories to share. No, of course, I think that there has to be boundaries. I think, and that's with anything, and I don't know if we have to overshare, but I do think that we have to stretch ourselves. When I find in my own classroom, when I stretch my boundaries and I really take it to the limit with students and really let them know who I am as a person, what I like to do, what I struggle with, it just opens the door to these relationships to be built more and more. And again, when you've got kids who you have a relationship with, who you have this rapport with, who they can trust, you're going to find that they work harder for you, that they are more engaged in your classroom. And isn't that what it really comes down to? We want our students to be engaged. And that starts with us building a relationship with them. And that starts with them knowing that we are people and that we don't live under our desks in our classrooms.